Hey there! So it's been a while. Recently I watched This Is a Commentaries video, hashtag storytime with my ex, which if you haven't seen it, you should go check that out. He invited us, Trey Melvin, invited us to make our own story time with our ex. And mine's not going to be as pretty as his, because I'm kind of lazy. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and just rip this band-aid off and apologize for the length because it's going to be a little bit long. And yeah, it was a short segment of my life, but a lot happened. A lot happened. Let's get started. We're going to call this ex-partner Sam, and I'm going to refrain from gendering Sam, and there will be no real evidence of who this person is. I'm a slight nerd, and I really enjoy anime conventions, and I don't watch anime, so I'm the worst person to go to anime conventions. And that's how I met Sam. It was one of those moments where you see each other while we were waiting for the convention to open because we got there hella early. And we saw each other, and there was that spark of recognition. I was personally glad to know someone there because I was kind of third-wheeling it with two of my friends because they were dating and I was being all awkward. And then Sam's there, and we chatted, and I was just glad I didn't have to sit alone while waiting for the convention to open. So that was a plus, and that's pretty much how our relationship started. I like to think of that weekend as kind of a cute moment in our relationship because we met the original moment, waiting for the convention, and then every 5 seconds we'd run into each other and have a cute little flirty thing happen, like, oh, fancy seeing you here, come here often. And it was kind of cute, I thought. But there was a problem. I neglected to tell Sam that I lived a state away. We would have been 4 hours apart. But I also didn't expect anything to come of this. I just kind of thought, a little cuddling session, we'd flirt some more at the convention tomorrow, and I'd go home. Our weekend finally drew to an end, and I finally admitted to living in North Carolina. And Sam said, we'll figure something out. Drive safe and let me know when you're home. And we kissed. I don't think I was ever happier than that moment. And unfortunately it didn't last. And I thought, you know, things were kind of working. We didn't fight. We stayed up and talked till very late in the morning. And we found out all kinds of things about each other. And then out of the blue, Sam broke it off. It was like a punch to the gut. It was right before I'd planned to come down and visit. It was my uncle's graduation. And I was planning to go see Sam for the weekend because my uncle also lived in South Carolina. I even thought about spending the weekend with Sam. And for lack of a better word, I was devastated. I didn't want to admit it because it had been such a short time. But I was definitely feeling some feels. I would come close to saying I was already in love with Sam. Sam was the first person I've loved in my adult life, and I kind of assumed they felt the same. They acted like they did, and I didn't know how to feel. Didn't know how to act, really. Just kind of functioned on a bare minimal level. So instead of staying with my grandmother during my uncle's graduation and during that weekend, I stayed with my friend. I cried a lot, and I told her everything But while I was with my family, I had to put on this huge fake smile because it was a weekend to celebrate. You know, my uncle was graduating college, I should say. My uncle was graduating college, and we were celebrating. Things were good. Mostly. And because I cried to my friend pretty much every night, we were there. Every minute I was away from my family, she suggested we go to Charleston. Because Charleston was my favorite town when I still lived in South Carolina. We would make it a girls' day. We'd invite 2 more friends, and we would just make the town ours. And we'd visit every tourist trap that I loved, like Market Street. And it was really fun, and I didn't think about Sam once. Until their number flashed on my phone. And I answered. And Sam said, "Bree, I want to apologize. I just don't feel like I treated you right the last time we talked. What are you doing?" "Nothing, just hanging with some friends, just visiting Market Street, not thinking of you, and all that fun stuff." "Oh, well, hey, maybe I'll come too." I never told Sam, but my stomach dropped to the ground. But I knew I wasn't ready for that. I knew I wasn't ready to hang out with them. But instead, I told them that it would be great because I missed their stupid face. And Sam would call every so often just to push back the time for when they were gonna stop by and meet up. And finally, Sam settled on drinks. Said, "Go to Coconut Joe's. I'll meet you there." And then they turned around and canceled. Then they called back and said to meet him there. I was an emotional wreck. I was like nasty sobbing in my car with like snot hanging, and it was really gross, and I'm pretty sure I was there for an hour just sobbing, just shoulder racking sobs. Messed up my makeup, and I looked good that day too. Not like really really good, but like decent. I looked decent that day for the week that I'd had previously. And I really didn't know what to do. My friend said we should just go home. And maybe we should have. Maybe we should have just gone back to her place. And just go home. But instead we drove to Coconut Joe's. Because I was going to go see Sam. And we met for drinks. And Coconut Joe's is right on the beach, so we ended up walking on the beach. It was kind of romantic, actually. But in the back of my mind, I kept wondering if these makeout sessions were going anywhere. If it was just them trying to get some action. I wasn't happy, but I managed to not make it too obvious. I told Sam I was happy, said I was just glad to see their face, and no matter how the night turned out, I was just glad to spend time with them. Of course I lied. I was terrible. I was miserable. I was just crazy. But I didn't think I could tell them how I really felt. I didn't want to sound stupid. We sat and watched the night waves come in and crash against the shore, and I watched a boat in the distance as it blinked. Anything to focus on something not Sam. I didn't want to know how close they were. Didn't want to know that they were looking at me. But finally, Sam spoke. All right. I want to make this work. Bree, I think I love you, and I think you feel the same. I was very certain I'd hit my head on the walk down to the beach. Somewhere back there, In reality, I was laying there and Sam was calling 911 because I'd hit a gash. I'd hit my head so hard that there was a huge gash. That was what was going on in my head. But no, Sam and I dated, long distance, for about a month before they suggested I move to Charleston. Honestly though, I didn't want to. I'd visited. I'd seen how Sam lived from paycheck to paycheck and basically starved themselves, and I wasn't ready for that. I liked having meals every day. I liked not worrying where my money was going to come from and when it was going to come in, and not bumming money off my mom. And I was already enrolled in Appalachian State, and I wanted to go there. I had less than a month, I think. I had 2 more weeks before I quit my job, and then 2 weeks after that I would move to App. So yeah, about a month. I had a month left before classes started, and all I could think about was how I didn't want to lose Sam. So I dropped out. I didn't tell my mom. I just discontinued my enrollment, and Sam and I planned out how I would move down there, how they would come pick me up, how to avoid a fight with my mom. And then we talked about how I'd get a job and they would put in more hours, and then I can get enrolled into a community college down there, and we were going to be a cute little couple. But a week before that happened, Sam moved to Chicago. And I won't disclose why, because that's Sam's business. But I was floored. I had no idea what to do. I couldn't tell my mom that I'd dropped out, but I did. And I had no one there to talk to about this. I felt alone in life. And when I told my mom, she wasn't happy, but I couldn't really blame her. I mean, looking back, I'm not happy with it. I think I was pretty dumb doing that crap. I retracted my dropout and was able to re-enroll into Appalachian, which was a plus. With no added fees, nothing too difficult or tedious. Got back in my classes, everything was good. But things at home became tense, which was understandable. But things with Sam were far worse. Looking back, I should have left. I should have never hung on as long as I did. But in my mind, we were going to work out. They would find an apartment in Chicago, Sam would get a job, and I would go to school and get my bachelor's degree, and all the while Sam would have everything ready for me to move up there after I graduated. I just didn't account for all the fights we would have. During Sam's time of moving, it wasn't a healthy relationship, and it never really was. But I didn't want to see it. We broke up more times than I can count, and definitely more times than I care to admit to. It was always over something simple that would just get blown way out of proportion for either one reason or another, and it wasn't always just Sam. I would blow things out of proportion too. And I really don't remember our fights because we had so many, which should have been a huge red flag for me to get out of that. But I didn't. I do remember that in the back of my mind, there was that little voice that told me to leave, that told me to give up, to get out of this before this got worse. I told myself it wasn't healthy for me, and I ignored my voice inside my head. And the relationship started to affect my school. Sam would call me at 2 a.m. and we would talk and fight and talk and fight and sob. And we wouldn't get off the phone till like 6 or 7, and I had a class to get ready for that started at 10, so I would get a 3-hour nap. But Sam never knew my schedule because I never told them. Which I guess is partly my fault. It wasn't up to Sam to tell me to go to bed. I was an adult, but I couldn't leave our arguments unfinished. But I really should have. And then we'd break up. And we always had nasty breakups. It never failed. There was never a mutual parting of ways. It was always a huge fight. And I would always be sobbing into the phone right after. While Sam would say something like, "I think we need some time apart." But then Sam would come back a week later and then disappear for some time. To make up for disappearing, Sam would always have something great for me. Once it was a visit for a weekend, and they brought a beautiful pendant, which I still have, and it's still my favorite piece of jewelry. And finally, we got back together last year. And I thought this was it. This was the one that we'll make work. We love each other. We'll figure all this crap out. We didn't fight, which I was impressed with. We pretty much talked every night. I would go to bed at a decent hour, for the most part. Sam introduced me to some of their friends, so that when I moved to Chicago with them, I would have some friends to hang out with. And I was excited. I was being integrated into Sam's life, and it would be easy to move when I graduated, and it was perfect. And I would have proven everyone wrong. Sam was a great person, and that we, made a great couple. And finally, Sam told me I needed to find a way to come to Chicago. Soon. I needed to find a way soon. Preferably for New Year's. So, I bought a plane ticket with the money I really didn't have. And I really couldn't afford to be spending money on a frivolous trip. And secretly I knew it wouldn't be worth it. Because I already knew we were going to break up after I got home. I already knew. But some personal stuff came up and I ended up not going. I changed my dates to come up for spring break, and then I told Sam. And Sam called me a liar and broke up with me. And then Sam got a new girlfriend a week and a half later. I didn't know what to do. I was so mad. I blocked every social media site that Sam had, even if they didn't know I had an account. I blocked him, just all across the board. Done. And it took me a really long time to get over Sam. Completely. That was almost 3 years of my life. Breaking up and getting back together and fighting. Sam disappearing and then breaking up and getting back together and fighting. It was 3 years full of heartache, full of misery, and full of many, many arguments. But the one thing I can truly thank Sam for, and the one thing I don't think I've admitted before this moment, I know how to be single because of Sam. Before I met Sam, and before we started dating, I wanted so bad to be in a relationship. I would see couples together doing couple things, and I was jealous, really. And I was really alone, and I just needed a relationship. I needed to be a part of something. I wanted that connection. All of my friends were back in South Carolina. I knew a total of 5 people in North Carolina, and most of those were family members. And I was desperate. I was so desperate that the first person to show me any attention, I was done. Fell for him, hook, line, and sinker. But now that it's actually over, and now that I don't let Sam come back like usual, I feel free. I feel lighter. And I don't think I've ever been happier single before. I do things when I want to do them without asking my partner's permission, because you really shouldn't have to. And I can talk to other humans without worrying if I'm gonna get yelled at, or if Sam's gonna disapprove, or how Sam's going to react to said humans. And I really don't worry about what someone's going to think about me and what their opinion is on me, because that's their opinion, and mine's really the only one that matters when it comes to me. And I will admit, I do still have a lot to learn, and I could be more comfortable being single. But I definitely like what I found out so far. And I do like to think that I won't get so strung up on a person again. That my feelings won't blind me to how they really are and how toxic that relationship really is. And though I doubt you're watching this, but Sam, if you are, thanks. Our relationship really sucked, and I think you know that. You taught me a lot about myself, but mostly you taught me how to get over a relationship. So I do have to thank you for that, again. I don't apologize for making this video, and I'm not going to. Anyway, let me wrap this up. Thanks for watching. Sorry again about the length. I hope you can take something positive from this and apply it to your own life. Though I do hope none of you are going through this. And if you are, I want you to remember that you're better than that. Because I think you're better than that. And remember to keep your head held high. And listen to that little annoying voice in the back of your head. Unfortunately, it's usually right. And you'll get through this. Stay cool. And much love. See you later.